I'm Chris Torres.
And I'm Vin Finjaro, and welcome.
Today we will be talking about the Super Bowl. We're going to also be getting to the NBA trade deadline, and we're also going to be getting into the MLB free agency with Manny Machado and Bryce Harper and why they have not done a single thing.
It's all interesting.
Yes.
It's interesting to say the least.
So first, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. The Rams ended up losing to the Patriots 13-3, lowest scoring Super Bowl ever.
Now, Danny, we were watching this game, right?
Yes.
We watched the first half, and it was just like the Rams could not they couldn't score.
It wasn't even just the first half.
It was the entire game. But that New England defense really showed why they're Super Bowl champions, because they stopped a really high-powered offense in Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks.
Well, Jared Goff played absolutely terrible.
Awful.
He was
so bad.
He was 19 for 38, threw for 229 yards, and had a pick in the end, which was just a terrible throw. He play before that, he went right to Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks, it was a great defense and double coverage. It was a good throw. It was a good defense as well. And the second, he went right back to that right after. I don't know why he tried the same thing against a team like the Patriots 2 times in a row. And it was just a very poorly thrown ball, very underthrown, and it was picked off by Stephon Gilmore. Who had a very good game.
Now, speaking of Brandon Cooks, you said Goff threw for 229 total yards.
Yes.
Brandon Cooks had 120 of those.
Yeah, I know. Brandon Cooks kind of carried the receiving court.
He really carried him.
Had a key drop in the end zone, though, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was
and he ran a wrong route on an interception. So
that's true.
That's true.
Brandon Cooks didn't have the greatest game, even though he had good numbers. You could say he really cost the Rams some of the game.
I feel like you put I don't think you put it on the defense at all, because they limited the Patriots offense to 13
Oh,
points.
no way. Their defense did perfect. It's just Bill Belichick knew how to scheme up the Rams offense. He watched enough film and he schemed the Patriots up in a certain way that the Rams couldn't really do anything against them. You saw Todd Gurley. It was nowhere for him to run. C.J. Anderson, in the divisional round against the Cowboys, C.J. Anderson had over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Even versus the Saints, he looked pretty good. He didn't do anything against New England.
Yeah, they combined for the entire Rams team combined for 62 rushing yards and 3.4 yards per play. Even Todd Gurley has been struggling this entire playoffs, and everyone was saying that you should go to C.J. Anderson because he's playing better. Todd Gurley played better than C.J. Anderson. He had 35 yards compared to C.J.'s 22, and he ran for more yards per carry, 3.5 to 3.1 respectively. But they just couldn't get anything going. And when Sean McVay said he got outcoached, I don't think he's wrong about that. I think he's just outcoached by someone who's been there longer than him. He's the greatest coach ever, and I was shocked to see the Rams get shut down like that. I had the Patriots winning still. I had it 38-35. And I don't think anyone saw a low scoring Super Bowl.
I don't think anybody thought that game was going to end up that low of a score.
I thought it was going to be very high scoring.
What I realized too was that even the Rams didn't really get to the quarterback that much. They had a sack. They had a sack. I think it was forget who had the sack. But they had one sack. I think it was in the beginning.
Well, that's the thing when you play Brady, man. He gets rid of the ball really fast, so it's hard when you get to the quarterback. The teams that typically beat Brady, if you look over the years when the Baltimore Ravens had a stacked defense and they beat Brady, they always got pressure and man blitzed him. That's how you got to win, man blitz.
I know the problem is the Rams have one of the best defensive lines in football, arguably the best. They had Ndamukong Suh and Aaron. They had the best defensive player in football.
Michael Brockers too. Michael Brockers is good.
Brockers is a beast as well.
And if you look at their corners, Aqib Talib, I think Marcus Peters too. They got him out of Kansas City, and those are 2 really good cornerbacks.
Dante Fowler Jr. off the edge. He was a top 5 pick at one point. They got Mark Barron. He's a pretty good linebacker. So they got some talented players on defense. Their defense did their part in that game. Their defense did enough to win the Super Bowl.
They did.
That should be enough in a normal game.
The offense did not coincide with the defense. The defense performed fantastically.
I feel like realistically, the main problem, everyone's going to point at Jared Goff, myself included. I feel like another problem, though, is, you guys said it before, is the run game. The run game is absolutely horrific.
For the Rams at least. But for the Patriots, Sony Michel had 18 carries for 94 yards.
And the one touchdown.
And a touchdown. That doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're in a game that's 13-3 That was the game-deciding touchdown.
Exactly.
That was the only touchdown scored in Super Bowl 53.
It was very, very late too. I forget how much time.
It was the fourth quarter.
It was
fourth
the fourth
quarter.
quarter.
Yeah,
I
I
know
think,
that.
I think it was the second half.
Bill
second half
ran
of the fourth quarter.
Sony to death in the playoffs, man. He abused them, but it worked. That's
did
how the
work.
Patriots won. They short passes, run the football, control the clock, play defense. That's how they won their games. Like that's just being a smart football coach, knowing how to play the game right and win. Like
Exactly.
that's what Bill Belichick is the best at.
We got to get into the MVP of the Super Bowl as well as Julian Edelman. 10 catches, 141 yards, 14.1 yards per reception.
Yeah.
He had a great game.
He had 12 targets too. He's Tom Brady's favorite person to throw the ball to.
Exactly. I personally think that it should have gone to someone on defense. I think it should have gone to Gilmore or Hightower personally.
Gilmore for that interception.
Gilmore had the interception and also had 3 passes deflected. He was breaking up Pat Slicker. I'm pretty sure he was the one that broke up when Brandon Cooks was on the streak.
Yeah.
And it was the play right before the pick. I think he was the one that broke it up. And then Donta Hightower had two sacks, and he was putting pressure on Goff. And it wasn't even just him. I feel like realistically, like the entire team was just pressuring him like crazy. But Hightower had the 2 sacks. I think it should have gone to either Hightower or Gilmore.
That's true. I mean, what was it? The last defensive Super Bowl MVP was that Von Miller.
Yeah,
it was Von Miller.
I'm not mad at it. Honestly, Edelman had a really good game. So
Edelman was fantastic.
You can't say that he doesn't deserve that.
He does. It's not that he doesn't deserve it. I just personally would have given it to someone on defense.
And like the thing about the defense is, like, there's not one guy that stands out completely on defense though.
Yeah,
Edelman,
that's true.
like he stands out himself from that game because he had over 140 yards. Like you could obviously point to him and be like, yeah, we got to give this guy the MVP. I mean, Hightower had 2 sacks, so you could say Hightower, but he only had 2 tackles, and those 2 tackles were his sacks. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you really could give it to him. So like, based on the game everyone had, I'd just give it to Edelman.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. Gronk also actually played pretty well. I didn't even realize when I was watching.
6 receptions, 87 yards for the Gronk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think. But it's most likely his last game as a football player.
Do you think he's gonna come back next year? Do you guys think Gronk will come back for another season? Do you think he's done?
I think he's
doubt it.
I
think
doubt
he's
it.
done. Yeah, I think he's done.
I think
his body's taking too
come
much
back.
damage.
Yeah. I don't think he'd want to do it anymore. I don't think he wants to risk another injury.
Mm.
I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss watching. Obviously, as a Jets fan, I hated him because he would just torment him and Brady. First of all, don't even get me started on Tom Brady. But,
Tom Brady's going to stay in the AFC for as long as he possibly can, just
He's
to
still
torment the
there.
Jets.
Not even. It annoys me. He's been there my entire life, and it's just. I don't even know how to
That's the
describe
Giants
it.
with the entire NFC East division. The Giants could not beat the NFC East this year. They could not. They lost twice to the Cowboys. They beat the Redskins once.
I think they lost twice to the Eagles.
They did.
They had Sanchez.
They had 1 win against the entire NFC East division.
Against Mark
Against Mark Sanchez and the Redskins.
Oh man!
But
if you guys didn't beat Mark Sanchez, I would have ripped into you so hard.
it's okay. The Jets gave the Browns their first win in 2 years?
I don't want to talk about that.
But going back to the Super Bowl, Danny, the only really ray of sunshine for those Rams was Greg Zuerlein. He gave them their only points.
I know, and he missed the other field goal.
He missed that field goal, but the field goal he did make was 53 yards. And going into special teams, Johnny Hecker punted 9 times.
Yeah,
he was the Rams MVP.
He punted 9 times for an average of 46.3 yards.
Johnny Hecker.
And his longest was 65. I think that's a Super Bowl record.
That is the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl record for a punt,
That's an absolute weapon right there.
He's an absolute
I
weapon.
love that guy. I've punters are people too. That's all I'm gonna say.
They are.
But there's really not much more to say other than the fact that, like, even if you look at the team stats as well, like the Patriots had the ball for longer than them. They had less penalties. That always happens to the Patriots. They get a lot of calls, but still, their fact that they're more disciplined than the Rams kind of gave them a benefit. And
no surprise.
No surprise at all. But like, if you look at the stat, like the Patriots just pretty much dominated the game. The score is not going to show it. I mean, defensively it will, but like it was just pure domination. The same thing happened their last game in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs. The game was a lot closer than it should have been.
That game was a high-scoring game.
That game was a fun game.
You would have thought, by looking at the stats, and me and you were talking about this a couple of days ago, Danny, you would have thought that the Patriots absolutely blew Kansas City out of the water by just looking at the stats. But they didn't. It was such a close game. It came down to a couple last possessions. Yeah.
It came to overtime.
Overtime,
I don't know. But and then I will say this. a lot of people were not entertained by that game. I actually was.
What, Super Bowl?
Yeah, I was actually
Yeah.
pretty entertained. Like I like watching.
Me
good
too.
defense play.
Because it was tied up for most of the game, and you're like, wow, whoever scores first might take it, and
Yeah.
that's what New England did.
Like
Yeah,
this, I
exactly.
was entertained until New England started winning.
Yeah.
Then
they
I
all
was
were.
like, I was just upset.
I understand that. I was entertained the whole way through. I mean, I had my one bright spot, and I held this in as much as I possibly could. Vin knows what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
When Joe Namath handed off the Super Bowl trophy to what's his name? To
Emmitt Smith.
I think he got it from Emmitt Smith, but then he passed it on to the Patriots, and
You must have been disgusted.
I was on the outside. I wasn't. I was saying it was
He was so happy.
I was happy that the Jets were represented, but on the inside, I was just so defeated and crushed.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't even know how to describe it.
yeah, I mean, you feel bad for the Rams, but the one person I feel bad for is he was Drew Brees. Like
Me too.
The past 2 years,
Me
Drew
too.
Brees has had a Super Bowl in his grasp, and then just you got to take it, get it ripped
Yeah.
away from him.
That was a terrible
Last 2 years.
call.
The Minneapolis Miracle, Diggs, the two defensemen that just ran into each other, and Diggs took it to the house and
Yeah.
eventually lost to Philly, and then Philly won the Super Bowl. And then this year, just terrible reffing on that play.
That
I
was
mean,
one of the worst calls I've ever seen in
blatant.
my entire life.
You see,
Horrible.
blatant.
I don't know how you call that.
And Tommy Lee
I don't
Lewis
call
catches
that.
that ball.
Yeah.
New Orleans is going to the Super Bowl, and Drew Brees.
Yep.
Drew Brees was my pick to win the Super Bowl. Him and the Saints were on fire this year.
Yep, same.
I will say this: they
Same.
were
unstoppable.
they slowed down ever since I think it was week 9.
Oh, yeah.
It's against the Cowboys where the Cowboys somehow beat them. They started playing the best defense in football.
Oh my
from that
God,
point on.
Dallas just
Their defense is incredible, and they shut down a high-powered offense. And I
They
feel
did.
like ever since that game, I feel like they struggled a lot. Like they weren't really putting up as many points.
I almost thought
as
they were
a lot
going to
of
lose to
close
the Eagles in the
games.
playoffs.
I think everyone did.
They were
Like,
down
and not-
14-0.
I mean, not obviously before the game, everyone was picking the Saints, but
Yeah.
during the game, at half,
definitely.
when they were down with 2 scores, like I feel like everyone was like, "My goodness, Foles is going to do it again,"
Yeah.
and then that ended because
Man, I wish he did.
It would just been nice to see Nick Foles, who was
Yeah.
behind Carson Wentz, just see Carson Wentz get injured again and see Nick Foles go on another Super Bowl run. That would have been probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my lifetime.
I don't know.
Besides, Super Bowl 42, but that's just Eli Manning.
Last thing on the Super Bowl. I'm not really sold on Jared Goff as a great quarterback.
Really?
Yet. Not at all.
I'm not sold on him as a great quarterback. I think he's solid. I just don't think he was ready for the game today.
He
in my
hasn't
opinion.
played great one game in the playoffs. I'm not sold on him.
His defense really bailed him out.
They were really
Yeah.
trying to bail him out, and he still choked really hard. Like that was a terrible performance. I take Carson Wentz over him still. I don't care.
Yeah, I agree. I've always taken Carson Wentz over him.
Yeah.
I didn't think Carson Wentz was going to be as good as he is today because he didn't really look too good in his rookie season. But that's every rookie quarterback. I've kind of realized that at this point. But
and he led the Eagles to 11-0 before he went down with the injury last year.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just
11-1 or something.
11-1.
All right. So do you want to take a little bit of a break?
Take a little break.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up next is the NBA trade deadline.
Transmission points there.
How do I do this? This is our first time. My bad, guys.